friends, I hope you're doing well. In this video we will be taking a look at firewalls. Now we will install and configure the initial steps of the installation process, our PfSense firewall. We will create a NAT network that will simulate the internet with a public IP address. We will create a green network. It's the network where we'll have our main servers like Active Directory, our security information and event management systems, and maybe other servers. And we will have a demilitarized network where we will allow some access to our web servers or other publicly available machines. So it is a secure network. But one thing at a time. Let's jump right into our virtual machine. Okay, I already assume that you have downloaded PfSense, so you can actually go to their website, and if you click download, I'm currently at pfsense.org, and I have chosen AMD 64. The installer image is the DVD ISO image file, and it doesn't really matter which mirror you choose, just clicking on download, but keep in mind that when you download the file, it will be a GZ file, so you will need something like 7-zip to extract it. And it's actually very easy to do once you download this specific file. Keep in mind that I already have downloaded it. Sorry for the cut, but I had to sneeze. So let's jump right into our Oracle VirtualBox, and let's start creating our scenario, our lab. So on VirtualBox, click on File and Preferences, and then choose Network. Now keep in mind, I am using VirtualBox version 6. If you're using version 7, it will be just a little bit different. But I'll keep version 6 for now. So on network, we will create on the green icon a new NAT network. I'm going to edit it, so double click on NAT network. I'm going to change the name to, let's say, Internet. And I'm going to change the network to 6783.0.0, and it's going to be a 24-bit network. Press OK and OK again. Now it's time to create our virtual machine, and we're going to do that by clicking New. We're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it CSEG. That's the name I'll give this series, CSEG. Kind of a short term for cybersecurity in Portuguese. And let's give it the name Firewall. Now, since we will be installing PfSense, the machine is actually a BSD derivative, the Berkeley Software Distribution. So choose type BSD, and the version, please choose FreeBSD 64 bits. I'm going to give it at least 2 GB of RAM, and this will come in handy later in this series. So I'm going to click Create. Usually I choose the VHD hard disk file. It doesn't really matter what you choose here. Just keep in mind that you need to choose something. And if you are not thinking about migrating the machines to another hypervisor, you don't really need to worry about. Let's just change the size of this hard drive and let's give it 50 gigabytes. It's a ton of space for what we will be doing, but it doesn't really matter all that much for this installation process. So I'm going to create, and then just before I start installing the machine, please keep in mind that we need to configure our virtual processors and our networks. So click on Settings, and then in System, please go to Processor and give it at least 2 CPU cores. This is very important so that we don't bog down our systems or have huge slowdowns. Basically, all 64-bit operating systems should work with at least 2 cores, no less than that. And in our network, well, let's change the first adapter to NAT network. We're going to change the name to the network we just created, which was Internet. I'm gonna enable and change the adapter 2 to internal network, and I'm going to give it the name green. Now keep in mind, this field right here is case sensitive, so try to avoid using special characters, as I have seen some very strange behavior from Oracle VirtualBox when some unusual names are used in these fields. So we're going to enable also adapter 3, and well, I know it wasn't in our initial design. You can see we only have 3 networks, but let's use adapter 3 to create another specific network that we'll be using in the future. I'm going to call it internal network, and I'm going to call it blue. And later we will be using this specific connection to create, well, a connection to another firewall so that we can have failover between them. And it will be a dedicated connection between 2 firewalls. And on adapter 4 we will enable it, and we're going to change to internal network, and the name I'll be giving it DMZ. I know I shouldn't call it orange due to the color, right? But you get the idea. This will be our demilitarized zone. So let's recap. First adapter, it will be NAT network on internet, the one that we have created. Adapter 2 will be internal network, and it will be green. The adapter 3 will be internal network, blue, and the adapter 4 will be internal network, DMZ. I'm going to click OK, and now we're going to choose the ISO image file so that we can go on and proceed with our installation. So let's press on optical drive, let's choose a disk file, and then we're going to choose PfSense Community Edition, the latest release at the time of this recording. So let's press open and start our virtual machine. Now, the installation process is actually very easy and is usually very fast if my machine collaborates with us. And of course, keep in mind that we will be installing the firewall on this video, and the configuration will be done on the next video. So this is these are the first steps that we will be taking on building our cyber lab. So let it boot, and right here we are going to accept, so press enter. We're going to press enter again to install our machine. Of course, we need to choose a keyboard, so I'm going to choose the keyboard that I already have in front of me. Excuse me. It is a Portuguese keyboard, so I'm going to choose it. So the only thing I need to do is come down here, and I'm going to choose my key. If you have another keyboard, and if you want, you can choose that keyboard. Press enter, and then let's continue with the installation process. Press enter again, and we are going to automate our partitioning. Press enter and enter again. And since we only have one hard drive in our virtual machine, so we are going to press enter again to use the stripe format. And we are not going to use RAID, or at least not now. So press enter again. And in this menu, keep in mind that you should press space on your keyboard to select that specific hard drive. If the hard drive is not selected and you press enter, you will receive a message that you have not selected any hard drives, and you need to select a disk to proceed. So press space, make sure there is an asterisk between the parentheses, and then press enter, and yes, let's accept the installation process. Now this will be fairly quick to install, it won't take a lot of time. And one thing that we will be doing is powering off our machine. And when we power, and why should we power off that virtual machine? Well, we need to remove the ISO image file in order to avoid starting the installation process all over again. So the installation is finished, and in this menu, please choose yes, and let's insert power off and press enter. This way, you know, and you can be sure that you can go to your virtual machine and you can remove that ISO image file, and you can start your machine again without any problems. So let me do that right now. Optical drive, I'm going to remove the disk from the virtual drive, and then I'm going to start it again. If you leave the ISO image selected, if you started the virtual machine, then you would install or at least you would start the installation process all over again, and that's not something that we want. So let's see if we can actually see our public IP address and if we have our LAN configured. And in the next video we will dive into further configurations of our firewall. So it's going to take a little bit to configure, and let's see if it works. It seems to be starting up fine, and any second now. Let's see if it starts just a little further, and it should be good to go. There we go, configuring firewall done. It's the first boot, and here we go. So right now we do have our WAN, which is the interface that is connected to the internet. We have the public IP address, and then we have our LAN, that is our internal network, where we will in a later video configure our firewall. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.